again, quick review of 5, 1, and 2. Take time to write your equation. I don't care about the graph, so try to get that equation down. So they're all quadratics.
Are we writing in vertex form?
Vertex or standard, either one. Okay? Either one's fine with me. This is a review of 5, 1 and 5, 2. So there's a process you need to be able to go through on this. And notice you have a review today. You kind of review a bit more of 5, 2, but then we actually have a quiz next week on 5, 1 and 2. Okay? So really you need to be able to function by getting your equation down, which means in terms of quadratics, if you're going in this form, which is standard form, you need to know A, B, and C. If you choose to go in vertex form, then you need to know A, H, and K. All right? Now in this one, they tell you the vertex. Therefore, I would say the easier way to go is vertex form. Right? So in that problem, if I know my vertex and I just plug in things I know that the vertex is -6, so H is -6, and K is -2. I plug those things in for H and for K. That actually means A times X plus 6 squared minus 2. Now, I don't know A yet. Okay? However, they do give me this point, which is an XY value. I can use that XY value and plug it in with my HK to solve for A. So I can put that point in. Since it goes through that means that's a solution to my equation. I can put that in for my X and my Y. And I go through and solve. I get 2 is equal to A, -2 plus 6 is 4, and square that is 16. So I have 16 times A minus 2. Add my 2 to this side, so I get 4 equals 16A. And so 1A is 4/16, also known as 1/4. Therefore, my equation, that's getting kind of small there. Therefore, my equation for this problem is, I'm not using standard form, I'm going to use vertex form. I can put my A over here now. A is equal to 1/4, so you should know, you need to know H, K, and A, or you need to know A, B, and C. That's what you should be taking away from this. That is my equation. Okay, so once again, in order to write an equation, you need to know A, H, and K, or A, B, and C when you're dealing with quadratic. Just like when we're dealing with linear, to write the equation, we need to know M and B. Okay? So it's kind of relating. You're going through that same process. Any questions on it? How many got it right? Okay. Once you try number 2, you get 3 minutes to work on number 2. Probably the easiest process to go through on this one is if you're finding A, B, and C. So remember, when you're dealing with y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, you have 3 unknowns. Your 3 unknowns are A, B, and C. Okay? You're given 3 sets of x and y's. Okay? If you have 3 unknowns, you need to use systems of equations to solve that. You would have to have 3 equations. That's probably the easiest process. Okay? So if you think of your equations, this is x, this is y, I can write one equation. One of my equations would be y equals, so 15, that's my y, equals a x squared, so x squared is 0 squared times a, plus b times x, so in this case, what am I doing? It's a. Let's put this a where it was. All right, a times x squared, and then plus b times x, which is 0, and then plus c, and c times what?
Nothing.
Yeah, times 1. We want to have a coefficient. Coefficient of c is always 1 because there's nothing there, right? So there's just that 1 hanging out behind it. Okay? So really, from this, if I were to simplify this, I really have 15 equals 0a plus 0b plus 1c. My coefficients, 0, 0, 1. Everyone with me there? Okay? And so here, I'm not going to rewrite the same way again. So I'm going to put my y, negative 1. I'm going to put my negative 2 squared, which is 4a, plus my negative 2 times b, plus my 1c. And then for this one, I have my y, 95, is equal to x squared, which is 16a, plus 4b plus 1c. Okay, so all of these things right here, these were all my x squareds. All of these things right here were my x's. And all of these things right here were my coefficients of c, which just happen to always be 1. And all of these things right here are the y's. So I have my 3 equations. I have my 3 unknowns. I can make a matrix. That's my preferred method. You could use a list method as well. Some of you just put this in a list and use quadratic regression. And that's okay as well. You could call this list 1 and list 2. I'm going to put it in a matrix. I'm going to go 0, 0, 1, 15. Okay, so my x squared, my x, my 1, and my y. We go 4, negative 2, 1, negative 1. And then 16, 4, 1, 95. Then I'm going to use reduced row echelon form. Okay? And when I go through that process and I use reduced row echelon form, I end up with A equals 2, B equals 12, and C equals 15. Okay? By using reduced row echelon form, I get that, which gives me y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 15. Now, if you struggled with this one, you need to review the video for 5-1. I go through all 3 methods there. Patterns, using a list. So some of you really like the list method. Maybe a little faster if you're good at putting those lists in and using quadratic regression. That would work as well. Or reduced row echelon form and matrix form. Yeah?
Could you have used Vertex Form for that?
You could have if you knew the vertex.
Oh.
We don't really know the vertex.
Okay, because I kind of guessed it was like the negative 2, negative 1.
Mm-hmm. So you just thought this was the vertex?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't, we don't know that for sure. So unless you know this for sure is the vertex, you can't just use that. Unless you can see it in a pattern, and there's ways to do that as well. But. Excuse me. All right. Any questions? Any other questions there? How many got it? Okay. I want you to try. Yeah. By the way, C we should have had that, right? When x is 0, that's your y-intercept. That's always your C. Okay. All right. Once you go on to number 3, you have 3 minutes. How many got this one? Okay. Which form are you going to use? Vertex or standard? Vertex. Probably vertex. Okay. Y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. Now, they probably vertex form because they give you hk. hk is 0, 0. So we really need to find a. So we're going to use the xy, the hk, kind of like we did in problem number 1. Y is negative 8. A we don't know. X we know is 6. H is 0. And k is 0. We go through, we get negative 8 equals 6 squared, or 36, times a, plus 0. So a is negative 836, also known as negative 2/9. Okay? Now that we know that, we can plug that in. Y equals negative 2/9 times x minus h, or 0. So we don't even need to put the h in there, or the k. We just put x squared. All right. Any questions? How many got it? Okay.
Oh, that's why I did not.
3 minutes for the last one. Now here's your hint on this one. Axis of symmetry is negative 2. What other thing is on your axis of symmetry? Your vertex. So if negative 2 is your axis of symmetry, and you know another coordinate is negative 3, 0. So here's negative 2, here's negative 1, here's negative 3, 0. Okay? Think about what your, well, and by the way, another point is 0, 15, right? So it's like way up here.
Negative 15.
Oh, negative 15, excuse me.
It opens downward.
Negative 15. Okay? All right, try to find a third point. Hey, just really quick. All eyes back up here. Right here. You guys, if you know 3 points, you can use the same process we did in number 2. Either your quadratic regression or your reduced row echelon form. So right now I know 2 points. I can find my third because this point right here, the negative 3, 0, the reflection of that across the axis of symmetry gives me a third point. I automatically know that I could reflect that point, and that would give me another point. I could actually reflect this one as well and get another point. Okay? This, I'm going to just use this point. So reflected, I get another point of negative 1, 0. Okay, now I have 3 points. I can use list 1 and list 2, L1, L2, okay, and use quadratic regression on it. Once again, if you don't remember how to do that, what section is it? 5.1. Go back and you look at the video lesson on 5.1. Okay? Some of you will look at this and you'll go, well, I go from here, from 0, I go all the way down. To get to the next point, I go over 1 and down 15. Now, that's kind of a pattern that we haven't talked about yet, kind of reversing it and going over 1 and up a certain amount. We haven't done that yet, so that would be a bit more complex. But for those of you who have finished this, you put it into your calculator. It's y equals negative 5x squared minus 20x minus 15. I don't know how many of you completely finished it.
What would be the HK version of that?
HK version, I haven't done it. Yeah. I would know that h is going to be 20 over negative 10, so it's going to be negative 2.
Okay, because I did it a different way, so I had to.
Did you get negative 2 for your h?
I got negative 5 times x plus 2 squared plus 5.
Yeah, so if I put negative 2 in, that gives you 4. 4, negative 20, negative 2, that's positive 40, and negative 5, 15, so 20 minus, so it should be 5. So did you get k is 5? Okay, so y equals negative 5 times x plus 2 squared plus 5. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, there's vertex form. All right. On the back of this paper, we have a piece of graph paper. And what I want you to do is I want you to graph, or we as a class are going to graph y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 13. Okay? Now, in order to graph this, you need to tell your neighbor the things you need. So on your graph paper, this should fit. I was just double checking, make sure it fits on a 10 by 10 or a 10 to negative 10. Okay, you should be good if you just draw your XY axis like so. Okay.
Does it fit on a symbol?
Negative 10 to positive 10 scale. It would be fine. Okay. You should have plenty if that's your X and Y scale. Well, everyone needs a ruler. Man. All right. So, in order to find H and K, we use a formula. H is equal to the opposite of B over 2A. That is the formula we talked about yesterday. It was on the back of our note page yesterday. If we don't know H, we find it by using the opposite of B over 2A. That was really blurry once again. Okay, that actually says H equals negative B over 2A. Okay? So if I'm using that process here, we need to know this is A, 2. This is B, positive 12. We take the positive sign with it. And this is C, positive 13. So H equals opposite of B over 2A. I'm going to take opposite of B, which is negative 12, divide it by 2 times 2, 2A, is equal to negative 12 over 4 is negative 3. That means H of my vertex, HK, the H is equal to negative 3. Which also means if I'm dealing with the axis of symmetry, the axis of symmetry is at x equals negative 3. That means if I'm looking at my graph and I go to 1, 2, 3, negative 3, this is my axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry, x equals negative 3. My vertex right now is just running up and down this block. Like if you were a little kid and you're in this neighborhood called coordinate plane, the neighborhood you live in, and you're like, dude, I can't find my house. And then you're like running around, you're like, oh, I found my block. I know I live on this block. And you just start running up and down the block. You're looking for your house. You're knocking on doors. Dude, do I live here? Do I live here? Do I live here? You're like just running around. Okay? You're a vertex without a home. Okay? What you need is your Y value. Okay? So right now, if we can find our K by using our H, we know the block. We live on block H. Okay? We need to find K by plugging this in to our X's up here. So we're going to take our original equation, Y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 13, and we're going to plug in that special H, that special X value, to find our special Y value, which we call K. So our K value, K is going to equal, that's what we're finding now, that's what our Y is, our special K value, or special Y value is K. We're going to put in that negative 3 for X. Okay, so if I'm going through that work, that's 2 times negative 3 squared, or 2 times 9, which is 18, plus 12 times negative 3, or negative 36, plus 13, which gives me a grand total of negative 5. So I thought we said negative 35. So K equals negative 5. So you've been running around. You're like, man, where do I live? Well, you cruise and you make it all the way down to the address negative 3, negative 5. You're like, oh, man, home sweet home. Okay? Dude, you found your home. All right? That'd be a cool address, by the way. If you had an address of -3, -5, it'd be pretty sweet. Okay? From there, how do I graph the rest? Hannah? Yeah, use patterns, right? Go over 1 and up?
2.
Up 2. Our A value is 2. Same A is in vertex form. A doesn't change. Over 1, up 2. Over 2, up 4 times 2, or 8. Over 3 and up 9 times 2, or 18. That was 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Sorry. 8, 7, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 7. Okay. There we go. And then we graph. Make sure it looks Cupid, not Cupid. Okay. Make sure unless you're going to calculate that next x value, do not go any further. Just put your arrows after that point and be done. Okay. Questions? Opposite of B over 2A. Pretty cool, eh? Hey. All right. Your assignment today. A. Take a look at the mixed side. We've got mixed side. We are going to complete 1 through. And actually, let me pause it real quick and see. Okay, that is our assignment. Let me point out before you're freaking out, right? Right here, you're writing the equation. You know HK, all you have to do is find A. Pretty easy with the pictures. I threw out the tougher one because the scale's kind of messed up, I think. Okay, this one, by the way, the point crosses right there. Okay, right there. Okay, that one crosses right there, that one there, and that one there. And this one there. Okay? That might help out to help you find your A value. This 7 through 18, notice they're all in vertex form. You're sketching the parabola. In fact, let's cross those out because that's just a waste of your time. Okay? You can do these right here. That should be plenty of graphing. You should have plenty of graph paper from yesterday. If you want to do these for extra credit, you can. Okay? 19 through 24. Find the vertex and axis of symmetry. Tell your neighbor how you find the vertex.
Don't find your H.
Okay, H equals what? Opposite of B over 2A. And then you use H to find K. Plug in your H value into your original equation to find K. All right? All right. Okay, hopefully this one's easy. Those of you who paid really close to the attention to the video that we watched, the one that was amazing, she was talking fast, you should know the answer to these two without doing much work at all. Okay, and then you just skip these. All right. Any questions? Yes?
How are we supposed to find the vertex of number 5?
Number 5? 25?
No, 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Vertex is at, that's a 3, 4.